Menteri Rangba Kejela Ukonrat Sangma Ulaytu Rakabaong Bakilum Tha Kinsa Umlot Tang Hapo Kashipo Snam Ula keren ya kani hak jingelang belong menta kesengi hanong ba Shillong hak G20 conclave nature solves a new framework for our sustainable future. Ya kani kejing ya kenduk lang lapan long da ka kenhun Observer Research Foundation rangkat kejing ya don ketilang bat ka Meghalaya Basin Development Agency jong sarkar jelah. Ukon rara kejing keren jungu la pentip ba ulai dep ïatai bat kirustat sayan bat ulong bi kala dep ban pensyai da ka baong ba kilum tha ke badan saudong jong ka deulan dong Arctic kinsa bat kalenti ka baya dei bat kalet kawan ban kit ikemar kan sakta ulong babaro kane kamat ladon kam ban tibnia bat wat ikilat kilenti ban penkrek lepa ya kejingwan jong kejing kala kamarian.
That this particular dialogue would be a beginning to many other discussions and actions to be taken up in the days and months and years to come. In the next 8 to 10 years, the entire Arctic will melt and the new trade routes will change, and the routes that we take now are going to be different from the trade routes we take in the next 10 years time, and hence it's absolute necessity to start studying the different trade routes, because I'm told it will reduce the distance by about 1/3. So when I heard that, that really shocked me, and I'm sure like it must have shocked a lot of you, that's going to happen. Talking of a decade and the Arctic will be gone. And of course it opens up many challenges, and it also makes us look at things in a much more different way. I think it's important that as a society, as a government, I think we need to first of all start with realizing and accepting, I think that's the correct word I would like to use, the reality of the situation. Number one, it is happening. And number two, we have to find ways to adapt and find some ways to mitigate. So therefore, the road in front of us is more or less clear. And hence, while we do so many small things which are very important, because small things matter, we need to realize that at the crux of the entire problem that we face, and of course this is my personal opinion that I'm sharing with you, because I think this is a great platform to really share personal thoughts and ideas and figure out how we should move forward. And as was mentioned by so many, including our Joint Secretary from Ministry of External Affairs, that the lifestyle that we have and the consumption-driven economic policies that we have has a lot to do with how the overall climate is being impacted, and I think we are all aware of that. That while we move forward, while we are working on a consumption-driven economic policy, and of course India has been very aggressive, and so has Meghalaya been. Sometimes the target of putting our GDP in front really sometimes blurs the other issues that are there. And therefore, as was mentioned by the Joint Secretary, that's important for us to look at it from all the angles. Can we continue to have our GDP growth the way we would want it? Can we continue to have the consumption, but at the same time, can we balance it out and push it with green economics? Can we push it with entrepreneurship that is more focused on green technology? For example, we are at a very, very crucial stage, I want to share with all of you, where as a government for many, many years we have faced a huge problem with power and electricity. Even now today we face that problem. And every time we sit and discuss this as a cabinet and as with officials, the big question mark in front of me is that we have huge deposits of coal. So why don't we start a thermal plant so that I can resolve this issue once and for all in the next 2 years? Or do I go with a decision where I say, well, let us see how we can balance it out and maybe focus on solar energy and other forms that are there, which may not be as stable as a thermal plant, but we have the entire issue of carbon emission and this entire technology shifting from coal-based thermal plants into greener energy. And hence, even decisions like these for a government at these crossroads that we are in are very, very important. And these are the decisions that we need to take at every level. So it's not just the government, even as individuals, you take those decisions at your own personal level, at the family level, at the community level. And hence, I think what is important is that we need to face the reality, we need to realize that this is real, it's happening. We need to realize that there are challenges where we need to balance between the livelihood that we need to create, because economics is important. But at the same time, while the economics is being created, how do we balance it out with green and sustainable energy, technology, designs and policies that we need to create? So that's really where we are, and I hope that the deliberations will help us, because let's be very clear, we cannot ignore the other aspects also. Until and unless we are able to give alternatives to livelihood, until unless we cannot create parallel economies and systems, it is difficult and sometimes unfair for us to expect that people will switch in a matter of a day. Now we had 2014 when the NGT came and they banned the unscientific mining that was going on in Meghalaya. Now this mining has been going on for 200 years by the people in that exact same way. May not be the best and the safest for the people, but that is what was happening. And suddenly in 2014, you just come in and you say, well, this is illegal. There are lakhs of families that are dependent on this particular livelihood program. Now I'm not trying to justify whether it's right or wrong. I'm just trying to give you a scenario. And I would presume and I would expect, and I would have looked at it from this way, that you need to allow the system to change. You need to give that option and that space for people to shift or transit into whatever is better. And hence, at the end of the day, while we look at this, and I hope this dialogue will look into that aspect, that we need to realize the reality of things, we need to keep the mindset, we need to realize that people's mindset is very important and how we're going to work through that mindset, and we need to realize that it has to be a transition that we're going to do. We can't expect things to change overnight, and that's the kind of dialogue that I hope that will take place, realizing the facts, realizing the realities not just of Meghalaya, of the globe and of India and of Northeast as a whole. And while you do that, how do we transit into an economy that is going to be much more sustainable, not just simply give an order tomorrow and say, well, these things have to change and you cannot do this from today.